Hello kids, Granddaddy here. I was going to see if y'all are ready for another drawing project. And I heard you like comic books. I've never drawn a comic book before, so I found these comic books that used to belong to your dads so I could see how they're made. Well, it's not real easy because there are pictures that tell a story, and so it takes a lot of pictures. And most of these comic books are in color. So I'm not going to make them all in color. You can color them in later. I've noticed the way they make them is they're drawn in black and white first, and then later someone goes in and colors them. So you can do that with your comic book. Well, I started by just making a design on a piece of paper of what my story was going to be until I got it the way I wanted it. Then I made a drawing of the actual comic book using a light colored pencil on paper so that I could then later go in and fill it in with the pen. Well, here we go. First, I used a ruler to draw the straight lines that separate the different boxes. So we'll do that first, and then that can keep track. Maybe take a third of the page. Make the boxes. They don't have to all be the exact same size. You can put some boxes smaller because they tell a smaller part of the story. Some boxes bigger because there's more going on in those pictures. And I've noticed that these comic books, the first box has the title, and it's got a picture that gets you interested in what's going on. So let's see what's going on in this first box. Well, what does this look like? That's right, a rocket ship with a door on it. And here's something they do in comic books. They use these lines and clouds to show a lot's going on, like the steam that's coming out of a rocket. And then sometimes they use lines like this to show what direction it's going. Those lines show where the item used to be and what direction it's moving. So you can see this is the spaceship that's landing instead of taking off. Well, here's the ground. There's some craters. So maybe it's landing on a planet somewhere. Oh, off in the distance, here's a city. That might make you wonder, well, what's going on in that city? Is the rocket coming to see the city? There's a sign that says this way, but you can't really see the sign, it's too far away. This is something else sometimes they do in comic books, is they show things off in the distance so you can tell maybe what's going on in the background too. Well, this first box is usually the title of the comic, so let's fill this one in. I'm going fast, so it's not real neat, but you can take your time so that your pictures look just the way you want them to. Well, I'm going to call this story, can you guess yet? That's right, Robot Attack. See? So the very first box, you already start to see what's going on. You might be interested to know what's going to happen next, and that's what gets the reader started. So now we'll do something else we do in comic books. You got to zoom in close so you can see what's going on in with that rocket. It's got a big door on it. Well, we're going to draw the door open. And here's something you can do. Comic books, they use these lines to show that it's moving. So that's the door moving to open. What's inside the rocket? Well, we'll fill it in, we'll see. what's going on inside. Well, there's somebody in it. Can you tell who's in it? He's looking at his TV screen. He's got his controls. He's moving some kind of lever that probably opened the door. That's right. It looks like there's a robot in that rocket. See how quick that came together to show what's going to happen? Well, now, because we zoomed in, you can see the sign that's pointing to that city. And now you can read the name of the city. Bubbyland. So these robots landed on a planet next to Bubbyland. Well, what's going on in Bubbyland? Well, here's some dinosaurs who saw the rocket coming in. These probably are Bubby's Spinosaurus dinosaurs. He's off in the distance. He's looking at the rocket to see what happens. He's got his other brother dinosaurs also looking to see what happened. Another Spinosaurus. What do you think the Spinosauruses are going to do about a robot? They've probably never seen a robot before. Well, let's keep going. See? Already we've seen a rocket landed, the door open, there's a robot inside, and we got these dinosaurs that are looking to see what happens next. So, change the perspective again. The rocket's off more in the distance. The door's still open. There's still a robot inside, maybe. Something's in there. But here's another robot. He's gotten out of the ship and he's moving. Is it a whole lot of robots that were in that rocket? This one has some kind of robot gun. That may not be good news for Bubbyland. Here's something else that sometimes people do in comic books. They draw a close-up of a character and it's more dramatic if he's kind of at an angle. Kind of makes it look like he's in motion. I never would have thought to draw him crooked like that, except I looked at these comic books and I saw that's one of the methods they use, one of the tricks they use to make it more exciting for the reader. Something else too is in a story you have to know which character is which when you go from one picture to another. So whatever the traits of that character are in your drawing, repeat them each time you draw them. I think that's probably why some superheroes have capes and masks and things that identify them, so that each time you see him, you know who it is. You always know who Spider-Man is without even having to look at his face. So these robots have these wires on their head. That helps identify them. They look kind of alike. Well, here's what's going on. Looks like a whole lot of robots got out of that rocket and they're carrying space guns. Got the background here so you can see where this is happening. Well, look at that. Already, it's only been 3 pictures and we're overrun by robots. Well, let's see what the Spinosauruses are going to do. Draw them in. This is another case where we zoomed in close to see them, so it's more dramatic for someone reading the book. Now they feel like, well, we're right up here next to these Spinosauruses where we can see what's going on. Well, here's something that we do in comic books. When people say something, you write in the words, of course, so you can read it. It says, we need to tell Supreme Leader Mom. So Mom is the Supreme Leader of Bubbyland. And so this is a bubble you put around the words so you can tell who's saying it. See? Now that dinosaur is saying that. What's this dinosaur saying? Oh, no. And with an exclamation mark, that means he's saying it loud. And the bubble says which dinosaur said it. So that's how people talk when they tell a story in a comic book. Well, we know what they're going to do, right? They're going to go tell Supreme Leader Mom. So we'll draw Supreme Leader Mom. Here she is. She's got her robe on that she probably got for Christmas. She's got her crown because she's the Supreme Leader. You can draw in all the fancy jewels. Hey, she's sitting on her throne. Because if you're the Supreme Ruler, you probably have like a throne you can sit on. And other people, when they come to see you, they come to see you on your throne. She's got her arm up. It looks like she's holding something. That must be her magic wand or scepter. Here's something you can do in comics. When you draw these lines, that can mean like lights coming out of it. So you can tell that the Supreme Leader is shining her light. Well, here comes the dinosaur to talk to her. Remember, he was going to come tell her about the problems that there were robots. So here he's saying, robots with an exclamation mark. Alright? Well, now they've told Supreme Leader Mom. Now here's something you can try when you're drawing comics. I noticed that in telling a story, sometimes people change the perspective. They look at it from a different angle. So let's look at, what if we were standing behind Supreme Leader Mom? Her crown might look like that from the back without jewels. You might see her throne from the back, so you could actually see the chair that makes up her throne. And maybe it's a fancy throne that's got stuff on it that looks extra well made. So there's Supreme Mom on her throne. She's holding her Commander wand with the light coming out of it. So now you can see kind of what it looks like from her angle, and that makes it interesting for the user. So what she's saying, send for General Bubby. Who's General Bubby? Well, he must be somebody that's supposed to come save the Bubby Town. So send for General Bubby and our scariest warrior. Well, now that she said that, aren't you kind of interested to see, well, what does Bubby and the scariest warrior look like? Well, here's the dinosaur. He's got to go. He's supposed to go look for Bubby and tell him about the warrior Here she is still up on her throne. So there. That's a different perspective of what's going on. So what's you think the dinosaur's gonna do? Let's zoom in close and see. Well, here he is. He's doing something. Looks like he's got some kind of a control panel with speakers and dials and meters, switches and buttons. Do you think that's what he uses to call Bubby? Here's his microphone. More buttons. Maybe he's got like his keyboard or something. Some switches. Now you can see how the dinosaur's gonna call Bubby. Well, here's something you can do in comic books. Sometimes they make these lines like this around the speaker. That means noise is coming out of it. What's coming out of it? Well, and you can also sometimes, if you write the letters wavy, I know that looks weird, but that tells the reader that it's not a person saying it. Maybe it's coming out of a speaker, or maybe it's radio waves. See how that you can still read that it says Bubby, but you might wonder, well, why is it written like that? Because it's coming out of speakers. Okay, so there we go. We've already completed the whole first page of the comic book, and that was the robots have landed. They've invaded the city. The dinosaurs reported back. The Queen says to go get General Bubby. Now let's see what happens next. Well, start a new page of the comic book. We need to draw our lines, separate the boxes. We can kind of go in thirds. The boxes can be different sizes like we said. Here I'm going to put a couple of smaller boxes here, but leave a big box to tell more of the story. You'll see why when we get to that one. So the boxes don't all have to be the same size. Well, let's see what's going on. We'll check back in with the robots. Remember, they got off the rocket. Looks like they're marching forward. Again, you can take your time when you make drawings. I'm trying to go fast so the video's not so long. Here's our robot. We recognize him with the wire on his head, with the circle on his chest. Uh-oh, guess what he's got? He's got his gun. Here's the background. Here's another comic book trick you can do. Sometimes when you make a lightning bolt type line, instead of it being noise coming out, it could be rays or lasers or things coming out of the gun instead. The robot looks like he's saying something. He must have learned how to speak the Bubby language. He's saying, "You are doomed to die." Well, that's not good news. And there's other robots. He's not even by himself. Look at all these robots coming in with their guns. They look kind of alike because they came out of the same rocket ship. See how many drawings it takes to make a comic book? So here come the robots. Where are they going? Well, Again, we're going to look from the other direction, from behind the robot, so we can get an idea what's going on. What is the robot looking at? Here's his gun, still shooting laser beams forward. But now we're seeing the back of the robot. That makes it more interesting and easier to tell what's going on. It's like he's got his backpack on with like his batteries and oxygen and stuff. And what's he doing? Well, he's marching right towards Bubby Land. Oh no. That's gonna scare the people that live in Bubby Land. And here's a car trying to get away. You got the line showing it's moving. Here's a person that's starting to panic. The alarms are going off in the town. It's time to panic because here come the robots. Well, surely General Bubby's gonna show up soon. Here's that robot. He's still shooting his gun. But now there's something else going on. This is headed right towards his head. What is it? It's an arrow with the line showing it's moving. I bet we know who that is. Might be General Bubby. Here he comes. He's got his helmet on. Little light on his helmet. Got his bow. And he's riding on a Spinosaurus. Because he doesn't have horses in Bubby Land. They have Spinosauruses. That's much cooler than a horse. Well, he's coming to the Supreme Leader's rescue. His bows and arrows. He's fighting back against that robot. Let's see what else. We'll zoom in now and see what's going on with Bubby. Well, here's something that cartoonists do. They draw a circle for a mouth. It might mean that that character is talking. And it's General Bubby. He's riding on his Spinosaurus. Oops. He's got his bow and arrow. What do you think he's doing? Well, he's holding an arrow. Here's his brave Spinosaurus. But now let's see what he's saying. We saw he was talking. Now you will face our greatest weapon. What do we think the greatest weapon in Bubby Land is going to be? We got the lines showing that he's the one saying it. Well, here's another cartoon trick. When you want to make a loud noise, make the letters really big. There's this sound coming behind him. What does it say? Roar. With an exclamation mark. That's what cartoonists do to show loud noises or sound effects. Because in a movie, you could just make roaring sounds, but in a comic book, you have to show them. It's making a roar and a rumble. Well, what could be making all this roar and rumble noise? The lines mean that it's coming from behind Bubby. Alright, well, let's go see what the greatest weapon is. Look how loud it is now that we're zooming in. Now it's a really loud roar. That's right. Can you guess what it is? This greatest weapon? It's a Tyrannosaurus. Look how big he is. And here's Bubby. He's looking at him. See how little Bubby is compared to the Tyrannosaurus? And look, what's on top of the Tyrannosaurus? He's got a rider. And his hair's sticking up. It's Lukey! Lukey's come too. He's riding on Tyrannosaurus. He's got his bullwhip. And here's Bubby. He's saying, "Get him, Pookie." Wow, this story's getting pretty exciting. Look how big that Tyrannosaurus is. That's why I saved the bigger square for him. Well, see what's going to happen next. Here's the robot again. Only now, the robot's doing something. Let's see what the robot's doing this time. Oh, now the robot looks like it's taking its head off. That's strange. I've never seen a robot remove its head before. Got his arms up. Well, this is something new. The robot, there's his backpack, removing his head. Well, here's that big Tyrannosaurus. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And here's something a comic book does. When they want to show that somebody doesn't know what's going on, they can put a question mark over his head. It's like that Tyrannosaurus is asking the question, what's going on here? Well, let's see what's going on here. There's other robots. There's the rocket ship in the background. These robots removed their heads too, and it looks like there's kids or something in them. Who's in these robots? This one took its head off. Well, here's one that's up close. Let's see what's going on here. Well, there's somebody took the head off. You can see there's a person in this robot. Now it's holding the head of the robot that it took off, so you know what happened. It's the same robot because it has that circle. Well, this person that was in the robot, she got a butterfly on. It's a girl and she's got a butterfly on her head. Well, we know who that is. And they're saying, ha, ha. They're laughing. Here's the town. The town's safe now because the sirens are off. And here's General Bobby. Look at this. He's falling over backwards because he can't believe it. His helmet's come off. He fell over. He dropped his bow. These robots fooled him so bad. Even the dinosaurs can't help it. It got so surprised that it just fell over. Well, what do you think General Bubby's saying? He's saying, "It's Ivy and the Girl Scouts. They made robot costumes in a rocket as a project, and it fooled everybody in Bubby Land." And that's what happened. End of our story. And here's something to do at the end of the comic books. And down in the corner, they usually write "The End." Then the reader knows the story's over, and when they turn the page, it's going to be a whole new story. So that was the story of what happened in my comic book. Now, when you're done with your comic books and you put them together to make the book, you got to make a cover. Comic books have covers, and the comic book has like pictures on the cover to make people interested and want to read it. There's a robot and a dinosaur. It's called Robot Attack. So when you're done with your comic book, you can put it together, and then you can get one of your parents to help you with a stapler, and you can make a finished comic book. There you have it. How to make a comic book. Well, that took a long time, but I hope you had fun drawing a comic book. Take your time and tell a really good story. Maybe it'll be made into a movie, and you'll get to see your own characters on a movie screen. Well, I hope you had fun. Goodbye.